What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about how to micro planes and the keybinds to do it. I've gotten a lot of questions about this, so let's get into it. As a quick overview, I want to go through what we're going to talk about and the order we're going to do it. So it's going to be from easiest to hardest. So we're going to talk about fighters, bombers, and the keybinds with those, and then talk about nuke bomber, torpedo bomber, and then at the end there's a bonus. So stick around for that. So let's talk about fighters first. All right, fighters. I hear a lot of people talk about how air doesn't require any micro. Compared to some things, I guess that's kind of true, but it's also kind of not. And because you can get in a lot of trouble doing this wrong. So right now you can see I have a clump of 70 fighters and I'm move commanding them around. See, they're in a nice little clump. Watch what happens if I move command them over here. They're equal numbers. There's 70 of these fighters over here. Watch what happens. Remember, they're the same number. Kind of a disaster. All right, let's try that again. Well, bunching them up was pretty awful. So what happens now? I kind of space them out a little bit. What if I move command them like this? Now that they're spaced out, what do we get? Remember, there's 70 on both sides. Let's try that this time. A little better, right? They're kind of trying to figure it out, but not really that close again. Okay, now, this is probably what you are wanting to know offhand, but again, 70 fighters on both sides. You've seen me do this in games if you watch the channel. But here, so what I normally do in these situations is you'll see me split my fighters like this. The reason is to make sure that I don't to try to prevent my fighters from shooting the same target, right? I want to trade at least 1-to-1. A lot of fighter interactions are it's like a numbers game, so you need to have more most of the time, and that's just a good general rule. So now that they're split like this, you can split them, and then if I fight command, then they're going to kind of latch onto the nearest target here. See, they pick the nearest target. These guys are bunched up. But see, they try to go towards the nearest target as fast as they can, and looks like we win that one, which is the first one we've won so far. So, but yeah, down to 2, so it's pretty even. But that's a good general rule for microing fighters. All right, now let's talk about microing bombers. What's the main thing with this, and then we'll group fighters in with them too after I talk about this. So couple things with bombers. They need a little bit of a lead up when you're going to bomb something. Like if I try to bomb right there, they're going to turn and derp like that. So you got to be careful. So make sure you have enough runway to drop your bombs. That's a big one. I see a lot of people do. They'll try to bomb things that are too close. See, like that one wasn't. But if I tried to bomb, something here, they're not going to be able to turn. They tried, but they couldn't do it. Like that, they're like, oh, what do I do? Number 2 is mountains. You got to be careful with mountains. They'll make your bombers do really weird things when they fly around them. See, like, look at that guy. What's he doing? Who knows? Just something to keep in mind. You want to so the short kind of micro nuance for bombers is make sure you have enough lead up to the target that you want. And the other thing with bombers too is the best AA in the game is this unit right here. It's an advanced geo. So I don't have enough to kill it with this many bombers. It takes about 10, I would say, T1 bombers, but yeah, best AA in the game right there. Pretty sick. All right, just remember that. Try not to waste bombers on those. Same for APHIS, but I mean APHIS are pretty juicy compared to these, but keep that in mind. All right, we've seen these individually. Now let's put them together and talk about the keybinds. So you'll see this 8 here. Bombers for me are on 8 as an auto group. 8 is not a particularly easy key to hit, so keep that in mind. But I use 8 because it's what works, but mostly it's because I have this on my mouse. So I have the number 8 on my mouse so that I can just click like that. And see, I just selected all bombers. That's me hitting my mouse. Cool. So I got my bombers on my mouse. The other thing I have is fighters. In order to grab fighters on your mouse, that's going to take a custom bind. I don't have time to talk about binding custom things right now in this video. So what I did before I bound that, which works very well, is you select one and you hit Control W, and then that selects all your fighters. And I still do this even with it on my mouse. So that's what. So if you don't have it on your mouse, that's what you should do. All of my bombers are on 8, by the way. So whenever I select all bombers, it actually picks up every bomber of every kind, regardless of the lab it came from, which I prefer. So let's say this is the kind of textbook bombing run micro situation. So you have your fighters like this. So you can kind of combine the two, and we want to split the fighters. So you'll see me do, you can do this. This will put them all in a line. The main thing when you're microing fighters is that you want to kind of create a buffer for your bombers. So let me select all my bombers. Oh, wrong button. Got fighters, got bombers. We want them to all fly. All right, now bombers are, like I said, bombers kind of derp around, so you got to babysit them a little bit. They can be pretty dumb. One of them will like run off when they hit a mountain or something, so you got to kind of wrangle them a little bit. But the idea here is that you're creating a buffer with your bombers like this. So you have this like situation where your fighters are taking optimal trades. They're around them on all sides, all right, because you can get flanked. You need to be able to pull them and defend like this. It's important. Your fighters aren't bunched, so they're going to trade pretty efficiently. And yeah, your bombers are safe. That's the important thing. Because the thing in bar, when you go on a bombing run, is that all you really need is one. The buildings explode really easily, and you can almost always hit something important. So you just need one of these to be alive, and then you can do a ton of damage almost all the time. And if you can have a couple more than one, then then you can hit some seriously hard targets like, Aphis or buildings or whatever. So the main thing is to protect your bombers. It doesn't really matter at all what goes on, as long if the bombers are alive and in their base, something's going to blow up. So just keep that in mind. That's why you just need to protect them. You can have 5 bombers. You can have 3 bombers, and as long as they don't die, you're in good shape. So anyway, moving with this kind of situation, you can kind of move them all as a group, and then if you need to micro them, you can grab some here and do this, select them all. Another thing you want to be aware of is takes practice, but let's say you get in here and you find multiple targets. You want to pull off once you know how many bombs it takes to kill things. You can do things like if I wanted to kill this, I could have pulled 3 of these to bomb that, and it would kill it. And then you don't waste bombers on them. You can split your fighters. You can split your bombers. That just takes practice. So the main thing is to not stack them, because the planes don't have collision in bar, so they can be stacked infinitely. Like you saw those fighters earlier, like the 70 fighters that were all practically right on top of each other. They don't collide. So make sure you're not stacking them, because they will take splash damage when they're stacked. And that is kind of a simple tutorial on how to bomb as well. All right, let's talk about torpedo bombers and liches. You'll see that they're on 0. That's the auto group I have them on. Same with liches. They're on 0 too. It depends on the map that I'm playing. So they're kind of utility planes. And if I don't want them on 0, I'll just move them to another group. But there's some pretty important micro with these. And you hear me talk about it on stream all the time. How, yeah, there's like not a super high skill ceiling with these, but it's just important to know how they work. So you see, first of all, I have 3 pinpointers right here. So these radar dots are just rock solid. And that's just so that I can show you an example here. So for torpedo bombers, like a lot of units in bar, you can just move command them, and they will attack stuff. You notice that these didn't. So that's the first thing. They don't work like that. They will drop their bombs if you fight command. See, they drop their torpedoes there. That's cool. Torpedo bombers are kind of nasty. Another thing is if you attack, watch this, watch this. This is important. Look how it didn't kill that. Did you see that? I'm going to attack right there. I noticed I didn't click on the icon. I clicked underneath him. See how it hit the floor? Super important. Watch, they're going to do it again. Look, it's going to hit the ground. Oh, tragic. I'm sure many of you have seen this. So make sure to never do that. If you want to kill the boat, you'll go like this. You can right click on it. So that sets the target to that. Make sure you have right clicked as set target in your preferences. It's a good thing to have. So the micro here is whenever you want them, you can move command them around. They're not going to shoot anything. When you want them to all shoot, you can click. They all drop their torpedoes. They all drop them, see? And then it's going to curve back around and kill them. Currently, armed torpedo bombers are much easier. They're more forgiving. Like look at these. They have a much chunkier, higher damage torpedo, but you can't like just attack like that. And then I don't think those are going to hit unless they change them. Yeah, that didn't really work. No, they didn't. So yeah, with these, you just want to be more lined up so the torpedoes have enough time to curve around. See, I clicked on this one and it kind of went all the way around. Just so happened to hit that one. Same thing with the core ones. You just got to be careful. You have to be more careful with the core ones. You need more lead up. But yep, now you know. And that's torpedo bombers pretty much in a nutshell. You want them to drop the torpedoes, you click. The other thing to keep in mind with them is just the terrain. So if you click kind of at a weird time, you'll just you can drop them on land like that. How about that? They actually do a ton of damage as well. So you can there's a little bit of a skill ceiling. If you want to hit something on land, you just drop them like that. You can bomb the ground. That's pretty cool, right? But yeah, just be aware of where you're at when you're trying to attack. All right, liches, pretty quick, but important to keep in mind. Oh man, they just destroyed all this. Oops. Let's gonna give me a couple of those. Had to remember what the command was. It's team. There they are. Cool. All right, the lich is very similar. I fly over, except it will drop. Let's spawn some more of these. So the lich did auto attack, but one thing you can do if you fly by like this is if you have him on hold fire, you can, you'll have to have him on hold fire, but you can pick which target, which is good. So at that point, it's basically a flying Janus. That's kind of the joke with him. And a lot of time, and it's a very high alpha damage unit, so you always want to kind of pick what you're doing. So that's your friend. There used to be some more micro involved with them, where they would dive down and like kind of kill themselves on this, but they don't do that anymore. So now they'll just auto attack if they're on fire it will, but you just want to, if you want to set target as your friend here, that's basically it for liches. All right, now for the bonus tip, transports. Bet you didn't know that there was some neat micro trick here. So transports have this animation when they're flying around. See how it's above little bro down here? So if you pick up the unit, let's say you want to, it's kind of a spicy situation and you need to set the unit down. See, it goes real slow and then it's like, okay, we're being weird. And then, okay, it takes its time. You can, it's an unload micro trick where you hit unload and then you change its unload position over and over again. And then it stays really, really close to the ground. So I don't know if any of you have seen that before. And see, it just puts it down immediately. It'll be a little bit easier to see if I go down here and do it. But you can see it's hovering right above the ground. So if if you're in a spicy situation, then this will help you unload things faster. And I don't have transports on a specific number, but idle transports, to find those, you do Control R. It selected all of my idle transports. That can be really useful. A lot of games you only ever have one, so if you're like, oh, where's my transport? Control R is your friend. Thanks for watching this video on keybinds and microwing planes. Let me know if I missed anything or if you do anything different in the comments below. Thanks, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.